Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's TUESDAYYY Media coming at you with another video. It's time to bring on the boxing. And today on the agenda, we're going to be talking about, Keith Thurman and potentially matching up with Errol Spence. Errol Spence has, he's been on the record saying many times before he was maybe at his peak, saying that he wants to fight the big welterweights. He wanted Sean Porter, that he wanted Keith Thurman, and this was before he even fought Sean Porter. This is when Errol Spence really was still a young buck. He was definitely known. I'd probably compare him to maybe like the Boots Ennis in terms of how people were talking about him. It's kind of similar to what's happening now with Boots. But now this is kind of when you see that there are negotiations supposedly of Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford taking place. We obviously know that the fight hasn't been officially announced. They're probably still trying to figure out their money. Who's the A side, who's the B side? Is it Spence Crawford or Crawford Spence? But there's going to come some point, if they're not unable to reach an agreement, a team's going to be fed up, or a fighter is going to get fed up and say, hey, I'm going to move on to my next fight. And, do they give up on this fight completely because both of these guys have plans to move up to 54 after this fight takes place, after they unify? I don't think Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford would defend their title maybe once or twice at most. I'd be surprised with 2 times. But if Errol Spence can't get to the Terrence Crawford fight, do we see him fight somebody like a Keith Thurman? Do we see him fight a Jaron Ennis? I don't think we see a Jaron Ennis fight. I think it's more likely that we get the Keith Thurman fight. Just because when Keith Thurman was champion and Errol Spence was calling him out, Keith Thurman would basically say, he kind of has the same approach where Errol Spence is with Jaron Ennis. Everyone's telling Errol Spence to fight Jaron Ennis, but obviously everyone wants to see the Terrence Crawford fight. But it's just another option because Jaron Ennis I wouldn't even say he's up and coming. He's already coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's definitely a problem in the welterweight division, and he's going to be here for a while, in my opinion. He's one of my favorite fighters at 147, and I don't see a lot of guys beating him. I don't see any guys beating him in like a few years. But back to the Keith Thurman fight. Keith Thurman just came off a win against Mario Barrios. I don't think it was the best Keith Thurman we could have seen, but it was a long layoff, coming back from injuries. There's a lot of mind games that go on when you've been out of the ring for so long. There was some ring rust, but I think that I think it's a fight to make especially if Keith does want to get his name back into the welterweight mix. It would be a good fight for him, just because ever since the loss to Manny, he's kind of faded away from the talks of being a top guy. But I personally still think he's up there. Maybe give him one more fight to make the Errol Spence fight happen. I don't think it's a smart fight to just start fighting with these top welterweights. But if Errol Spence and Keith Thurman were to fight, that'd be a great matchup. There'd be a good storyline there because Errol had been calling out Keith Thurman when Keith Thurman was champion, but Keith Thurman didn't want to give the young guy a chance. Now the tables have turned, and everyone's calling out Errol Spence. So if Keith Thurman does get that fight, I don't know what would happen. I think Errol would. Well, I think I know what would happen, but I'm not positive because I wouldn't take anything away from Keith Thurman. He was at the top of his game. It's a completely different story, but right now I don't think he's at the Keith Thurman that we're used to seeing. Against Sean Porter, even before all the injuries, a prime Keith Thurman was like a different breed. Against Danny Garcia, that's the kind of guy that, like the Barclays Center Keith Thurman, that dude was a different breed. Are we ever going to get him again? We don't know. But it's more about, making these big fights happen. If they can't get the Terrence fight, I think even when there were rumors about the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight taking place and being in negotiations, in my mind I was like, I'm not getting my hopes up. And you guys have seen my past videos. I was never going to get my hopes up until the fight posters are out. We start seeing the press conferences. Then I could be like, hey, okay, this fight's going to happen. But I kind of knew it's too premature. With big fights like these guys are going to make sure that they get their money. And we could just hope and pray and wait, trust the process that this fight gets made. But if not, we could see a Errol Spence and Keith Thurman fight at 147. What do you guys think? But comment down below if you guys would be interested in that fight. If not, I understand. I understand wanting to see just the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight, but comment down below if Errol Spence can't get the Terrence Crawford fight. If something falls through within the negotiations, what would you guys want to see? Comment down below, but also leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching once again. I appreciate all the constant support, and all my ads are in Fight Media, so check it out. The channel is continuing to grow, and the work's just starting. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.